Nepal, nicknamed the Amazon of Asia. It's not only renowned for its incredible biodiversity, but also for being an open-minded and welcoming nation. From the distinguished snow-capped mountain peaks to the abundance of flora, to the carefully protected fauna, and last but not least, the various ways of life its people practice. Join us as we discover and delve further into how the country of Nepal sustains its rich diversity regarding both its nature and its society. Nepal is located in the spectacular Himalayas in South Asia, a landlocked nation right between India and the Tibetan region of China, as well as closely neighbored by Bhutan and Bangladesh. Although it is a relatively small country compared to its two large and famous neighboring nations, with an area of only 147,516 square kilometers, it still possesses a very diverse geographical nature, as well as a number of World Heritage Sites that cannot be contested with. In addition to that, Nepal is home to more than 140 different ethnic groups, each containing even more various cultures, customs, and languages. Yet, despite hosting such a cultural melting pot, the people of Nepal are able to live together in harmony, mixing their lifestyles and beliefs at a whopping population of over 30 million. Even though the traditional monarchy of Nepal is no longer around, the people are still dedicated to preserving their natural and cultural sites that are filled with their history and lore. Since their government luckily also shares the same sentiment and passion as the people regarding the preservation to the physical embodiments of their country's history, they have thus supported and implemented a handful of programs committed to such goals over the years. In addition to that, many local and global non-profit organizations like ICOMOS and WWF have faithfully cooperated in researching the long-term conservation and even restoration of old World Heritage Sites and natural habitats. Speaking of Nepal's attractions, the country is brimmed with diverse landscapes to visit, from the frosty Himalayan mountains for adventuring hikers to the temperate but exotic forests and grasslands filled with lush greenery for nature lovers. To the many carefully maintained World Heritage Sites, as well as culture-filled cityscapes. Due to these aspects, there is an endless list of destinations for people to anticipate and visit. The capital city of Kathmandu is home to many UNESCO World Heritage Sites and temples, So we'll look more into these fascinating areas of interest. Fortunately, untainted by outside influences, Nepal's maintenance over its multitude of religious traditions and how they differ from one another is miraculous. Firstly, with over 80% of the population identifying as Hindu, Hinduism is not surprisingly the majority religion being practiced in Nepal. Its spiritual landscape is filled mostly with temples and sacred sites dedicated to the pantheon of Hindu gods. Such as the aforementioned Ganesh, and others such as Vishnu. Shiva, Lakshmi, Parvati, Brahma, and Saraswati. A significant Hindu temple that is also listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site located in Kathmandu is the Pashupatinath Temple, which is dedicated to worshipping the divine god Shiva, who is revered as the supreme being in one of Hinduism's major traditions, Shaivism. In another city in the Kathmandu Valley exists its very close counterpart to the bustling Kathmandu Durbar Square, Patan Durbar Square. Located in Lalitpur, Patan Durbar Square is a much less crowded and touristy version of Kathmandu's, though it still has the same assortment of beautifully constructed temples and other ancient monuments. In fact, it can be argued that such antiquities are maintained and restored at a better rate than the ones at Kathmandu, since Patan has suffered from far fewer earthquakes and destructive visitors. With the low traffic of tourists, Patan also feels more authentic with a minimal number of souvenir stalls, as well as being a popular meeting spot for the locals living in the area. Moving on from Durbar Squares, take a look at the Boudhanath Stupa, situated in the Kathmandu Valley. Renowned as one of the largest stupas in the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it is said to entomb the bodily remains of Kassapa Buddha. Since it is located on an ancient trading route used by Tibetans to enter the Kathmandu Valley, it has a long history of receiving prayers and offerings from traveling Tibetan merchants, as they would also see it as a safe space to rest in between journeys. The Tibetan population around the Boudhanath increased especially after the 1959 Tibetan uprising, as refugees flooded and settled down in that area. The stupa itself is 36 meters tall and adorned with colorful prayer flags, intricate mandalas, and ancient Tibetan Buddhist iconography. With such an abundance of religious monuments, it is convenient to hold the many Hindu rituals and ceremonies. Processions like the ritual of Aarti or the devotional singing practice of Bhajan are integrated partially into the daily life of Nepal, as they can be easily performed both at home and in temples. Additionally, there's always a lot of enthusiasm and excitement when celebrating Hindu festivals, most notably Dashain, Holi, and Tihar, better known as Diwali and Deepavali. Now, outside the municipalities of Nepal, it is nearly impossible to avoid bringing up its most well-known mountain attraction, which is none other than the world's infamously tallest mountain, Mount Everest. Sitting on the border between Nepal and Tibet, the mountain has been known by multiple different local names, such as Sagarathma by the Nepali, meaning forehead in the sky, and Chomolungma by the Tibetans, meaning Mother Goddess of the World. In fact, it wasn't known as Mount Everest until the Great Trigonometrical Survey of India officially established it as the world's highest peak in 1856. This name was in honor of the British Surveyor General of India, Sir George Everest. Furthermore, there were no recorded attempts to reach the summit until the early 20th century, during which the explorers faced countless challenges like extreme climate conditions, high-altitude sickness, difficulty of navigation, and surviving the harsh environment in general. Finally, on May 29, 1953, two mountaineers successfully reached the top of the summit: Sherpa Nepali Tenzing Norgay and New Zealander Sir Edmund Hillary. These two were confirmed to be the first people ever to dominate Mount Everest, turning it into a landmark moment in mountaineering history. Ever since then, there have been non-stop expeditions to ascend the infamous mountain peak, especially as climbing technology developed and advanced throughout the years. Unfortunately, this has also resulted in increased worries regarding environmental degradation and the negative impact on local cultures, as issues including waste management, the degradation of historical sites, and even disrespect toward local traditions have arisen due to an excess of foreign mountaineers in the area. Moreover, what many people do not know is that Nepal's territory is also home to 7 other of the world's 10 highest peaks. They are Kangchenjunga in 3rd, Lhotse in 4th, Makalu in 5th, Cho Oyu in 6th, Dhaulagiri 1 in 7th, Manaslu in 8th, and last but not least, Annapurna 1 in 10th. Concerning its reputation for its many majestic snowy peaks, Nepal is hence known to be where the mysterious but legendary snow cryptid resides, the Yeti, aka the Abominable Snowman. Said to be a shaggy, hair-covered, ape-like creature, the existence of the Yeti has been discussed and debated over the years countless times, but up until now, there's no solid evidence to prove it is actually a real animal at all. Despite the cold climate of the Himalayas, there are several animals that have made the mountain range their home, such as the indifferent Himalayan wild yak. This animal was once thought to be regionally extinct in Nepal by the 1970s, but was rediscovered there in 2014 in the Humla district in the Karnali province. Though still a rare sight, it is still possible to find this heavily built creature, as it boasts a bulky frame covered in layers of hair to resist the cold climate. It is considered to be one of the largest extant bovid species. Although the females are about 30% smaller and 2/3 lighter than the average male, they're still larger than domesticated yaks. Although they are typically herd animals, most male wild yaks are solitary with a few exceptions, while females tend to stick with their children while grazing. A herd can consist of up to several hundred yaks, though they are typically much smaller due to each individual's large size. As previously mentioned, wild yaks are mostly indifferent to humans and even prefer to stay away, only getting aggressive if there is a risk of harm to their calves. This is primarily because wild yaks only mate once yearly in the summer, with the mothers only giving birth to a singular calf every other year. In the lower altitudes of the Everest region of northeastern Nepal, many of the country's infamous but near-extinct animals are found living simply in their thick, furry coats. For example, the elusive snow leopard has quite a stocky build in comparison to its other big cat relatives, as they are smaller than most panthers but much bigger than house cats. Even so, these felines share the same carnivorous diet as the rest of their large cat relatives, mainly preying on other nearby animals such as the blue sheep and the musk deer. Sometimes they may even go for smaller mammals like the Royal's pika or the Sikkim vole. Personality-wise, it mostly avoids humans, using its snowy white environment to its advantage and hiding away in plain sight. Reaching the age of maturity at 2 to 3 years old, snow leopards typically live for 15 to 18 years in the wild. However, they can live up to 25 years if in captivity. Unlike many large cats, snow leopards have a more consistent birth peak each year, as most tend to mate during late winter. Once their gestation period of 90 to 100 days comes to an end, the mother may normally give birth to a litter of 2 or 3 cubs at a time. However, there have been exceptions where up to 7 cubs were born at the same time. Unfortunately, even if they have a stable and consistent mating season, snow leopards are still highly endangered due to human poaching and illegal hunting for their exotic white fur. Still in the Everest region, but found in the lower level forests of the Himalayas of Nepal, is the red panda, which is a cute little critter that has been rising in popularity in the last few years for its adorable and fuzzy appearance. This may come as a surprise to many, but the red panda is actually indeed native to the eastern Himalayan region, as well as other parts of southwestern China. Despite its small size, the red panda can live up to 23 years, although they start displaying significant signs of old age by 13 to 14 years old, and is easily able to withstand the colder temperatures of the region due to its thick red fur. Lounging around in the trees, they would feed on roots, berries, eggs, and acorns. Like the snow leopard, it has been observed that the red panda conforms to a consistent mating season yearly in winter, though it may extend to the end of summer for those who live in the southern hemisphere. After a gestation period of 135 days, 1 to 4 cubs would be born. These cubs are extremely vulnerable at birth, as they're born blind and deaf, with their eyes and ears sealed for the first 2 to 3 weeks of their lives. The mother would take full care of them until they are at a maximum of 22 weeks old, though the cubs would stay at their den for an additional 90 days and only reach maturity at 18 to 20 months old. Despite such efforts to raise them, the red panda is unfortunately also a highly endangered species due to poaching, habitat loss, and climate change. Other than the cold climate creatures, there are also plenty of animals still indigenous to the Nepalese lands. Found in its more temperate areas, like the grasslands and lowland jungles, although a handful that are endangered are prioritized and protected in official national parks, like the Bengal tiger, and others such as pangolin, and Asian elephant. There are up to 12 national parks in the country wherein they can roam around freely while still being legally protected. This way, such wildlife are looked after from a distance, while also still given the chance to thrive in their natural habitat and ecosystems. In addition to that, 2 of its most popular national parks, Chitwan National Park and Sagaratma National Park, are also formally listed as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. For wildlife enthusiasts, this park is a must-visit destination in Nepal, home to a diverse array of flora and fauna, including the dignified Bengal tiger, greater one-horned rhinoceros, and Asian elephant. Chitwan offers thrilling wildlife safaris, jungle walks, and canoe rides along the Rapti River. Visitors are able to immerse themselves in the natural beauty of the Terai region, where lush forests, grasslands, and wetlands provide a habitat for an abundance of wildlife species. Concerning the national parks, Nepal managed to successfully double the population of Bengal tigers in the nation, preventing them from going fully extinct, a very serious problem that was still around less than 10 years ago. This was due to habitat loss, poaching, retaliatory killing, and a decrease in prey animals around. As of today, Boudhanath National Park is home to a significant percentage of the Bengal tigers in Nepal, who are often seen sleeping in the sun or hunting after their various prey, like the chital and the hog deer, two species of deer that are often herded together. However, they can still be discovered in the wild, mainly in the Terai Arc landscape, which luckily has most of its land under the government's protection. In fact, the Terai Arc landscape is the result of a 2001 collaboration project between the Nepalese government and the WWF, which set out to create wildlife corridors, connected patches of land between Nepal and India, to let both flora and fauna grow and travel safely. While the average lifespan of Bengal tigers in the wild is only 14 to 16 years, they can actually live up to 25 years in good, stable health. Once they reach maturity, which the females reach around 3 to 4 years old, and males at 4 to 5 years old, they will proceed to go into heater intervals of every 3 to 9 weeks, during which they are receptive for 3 to 6 days each time. Once they are pregnant, the gestation period lasts up to 106 days, and the mother would primarily try to go into labor in seclusion, somewhere that is out of sight from other predators and prey, such as tall grasslands or dark caves, during which 1 to 4 cubs would be born every time. While Bengal tigers are usually solitary animals, mother tigers typically stick closely to their cubs to raise and protect them from other animals. Once the cubs are mature and capable of hunting food for themselves, the mother tiger will depart and let its children enter its solitary living. Occasionally, a white tiger may be born, which only happens once every 10,000 births. Since its white coat is caused by the lack of the pigment pheomelanin in its fur, this meant that both its parents must have carried the unusual gene for white coloring. Its average lifespan also ends up being shorter, at only 12 years, as it tends to end up with side effects like extra medical issues. In addition to that, its white coat makes it harder for it to camouflage in the wild, a major weakness while trying to hunt for prey. Deep within the Terai Arc landscape, another iconic animal that can be found is the magnificent Asian elephant, which is also listed as an endangered species. In the past, these elephants were once highly revered and worshipped by the people of Nepal as creatures who possessed a great balance of both wisdom and strength. In addition to that, they were thought to be highly spiritual animals, resembling the Hindu god Ganesh, so they were often used in religious customs and ceremonies. Due to this, the elephants and the humans initially had a great bond with each other and managed to coexist in harmony. However, as human society grew larger, both their agricultural cultivation and monetary greed expanded as well. Since the Asian elephants' migration routes for their nomadic feeding often clashed with the humans' crops in the past, they ended up suffering from aggressive retaliation and subsequent poaching by said humans. Many Asian elephants were not immediately eliminated by these poachers, as they were only targeted for their strong tusks. Once the poachers took what they wanted, the elephants were usually left behind to suffer in agony due to their now damaged nerve endings, and eventually, but slowly, died from either infections or bleeding out, causing their currently dwindling numbers. Fortunately, the Terai Arc landscape has not only helped the Asian elephants regain a sense of their habitat, but also prevented them from crossing routes with human-grown crop patches whenever they have to migrate. Other than for their survival, the presence of Asian elephants in the local ecosystem is extremely important, as they play a vital role in spreading germinating seeds for vegetation to survive and grow. Found grazing leisurely in large numbers in both the wildlife corridors of Terai as well as several national parks like Chitwan, Bardia, and Shuklafanta National Park is the greater one-horned rhinoceros. Stopping this species from going extinct is another great feat Nepal has achieved regarding its wildlife, as it is now repopulated to the point that it has gone down the risk of extinction from endangered to vulnerable. Although it still has a lot of improvement to do, Nepal should be acknowledged for increasing its population from a mere 200 at the beginning of the 20th century to a whopping 4,000 today. Threats to their survival include poachers who target their horns, since they're a useful ingredient in traditional Chinese medicine, and habitat loss due to agricultural expansion. Additionally, though they have a basic herbivore diet of mostly grass and leaves, an invasive alien plant species known as Mycenia micrantha, or American rope, has recently been discovered to have severely affected their native food plant species. Without such threats, wild greater one-horned rhinoceros can usually live for 35 to 40 years, and an additional 5 years if they are managed with care. However, since they are large mammals, they're slow to reproduce and usually only mate once every 2 to 5 years. Additionally, not only are their pregnancies long, lasting for around 15 to 16 months every time, but they also only give birth to one calf at a time. On top of that, mother rhinoceroses spend about 1 to 2 years raising their calves alone until they're deemed independent enough. Other than its animal-filled mountains and forests, Nepal is also infamously known as the birthplace of Lord Gautama Buddha, the founder of Buddhism himself. Located in western Nepal, Lumbini holds immense spiritual significance for millions of Buddhists around the world. The sacred pilgrimage site is home to the Mayadevi Temple, where Lord Buddha was born, as well as numerous monasteries, stupas, and meditation centers. There, it is a wonderful place to explore the tranquil gardens and archaeological ruins of Lumbini, as well as pay homage to the sacred Bodhi tree. Visitors may also gain insight into the life and teachings of the Enlightened One, turning the trip into a valuable learning experience. With both Hinduism and Buddhism sprouting and spreading among the people of Nepal since the first millennium BC, it is no surprise that so many religions and cultural practices have been diversified ever since. The country has also never once been colonized by a Western power, helping it retain even its oldest customs without any real threat of erasure. As the homeland of Lord Buddha, there are still quite a handful of Buddhist temples and stupas adorning the Kathmandu Valley, other than the Maya Devi Temple. However, most are built atop hills and smaller towns, as Buddhist pilgrims who aim to visit them tend to seek spiritual enlightenment in solace and silence. Hence, a revered sacred site like the Buddhanath, also known as the Monkey Temple, is situated away from the hustle and bustle of the big cities. With its Tibetan name meaning sublime trees, the Buddhanath is surrounded by a variety of trees on the hill it sits atop. It dons a bright white dome that gleams in the sunlight, as well as a gilded spire that serves as a symbol of enlightenment and spiritual awakening. This religious complex is well respected and revered by Tibetan Buddhists, and hence serves as a popular pilgrimage destination for them. Of course, no visit to Nepal would be complete without at least a trek to the legendary Mount Everest Base Camp, even for those who aren't planning to tackle the full climb to the summit of Mount Everest. Situated at an altitude of 5,364 meters, the base camp is bound to have an incredible landscape view surrounding the Himalayan panorama that may end up inspiring future plans of going higher. Trekking to Everest Base Camp is a challenging, yet rewarding adventure, as the route takes trekkers through picturesque villages and alpine forests, where one may be able to also spot Buddhist monasteries and stunning glaciers along the way. In other parts of the mountainous Himalayan regions of Nepal, there live the Sherpas, an ethnic group indigenous to both Nepal and Tibet. Said to have descended from nomadic ancestors, the Sherpa community is very spiritually bound to the mountains, though they are very hospitable to visitors who are also interested. In fact, they are famous for their expertise and skills in mountaineering. Thus, they have also served as useful guides to explorers and adventurers in the past. Today, they continue to lend their expertise and mountaineering prowess to those who seek to hike the Himalayan mountains, mostly Mount Everest. If climbing Mount Everest is too extreme, the Sherpa village trek may still be a suitable activity to do. This allows trekkers to absorb the beautiful scenic routes while exploring the most welcoming Sherpa villages in the Khumbu region, such as Namche village and Kumjung village. Another popular viewpoint is the Gokyo-ri viewpoint in the aforementioned Khumbu region. If simply journeying through villages is not enough, and trekkers desire to catch more of a glimpse of the mountains, Gokyo-ri viewpoint is the perfect place that overlooks certain areas of mountains such as Everest, Makalu, Lhotse, and Cho-Oyo. Moreover, Gokyo's lakes and glaciers are also sights to behold. Other than the peaks, there is also lush vegetation along the trail regions at lower altitudes. The trek to this viewpoint is quite a lengthy one, taking about 14 days to reach the destination. Although it is shorter than the trek to the Mount Everest base camp, it has considerably more aesthetically appealing sights throughout the route, as well as cheaper and less crowded than the one to Mount Everest base camp. It is recommended that trekkers take part in this adventure during either the spring or autumn seasons, as the skies are the clearest during them, enhancing the beauty of the landscapes. If the visitor is not much of a trekker and prefers indulging in Nepal's art scene, the Nepal Art Council provides a platform in Kathmandu for an excess of modern Nepalese artists to express their creativity, as well as showcase their diverse contemporary artworks. There are also many modern buildings being constructed with Nepal's vision of its future in mind. A great example is a Dharahara tower, which adds a touch of sophisticated variety to the city's skyline. Standing at 72 meters tall, the current Dharahara Tower visitors see today is actually a replica of the original. The original was built in 1823 and became a popular tourist attraction from 2005 to 2015, until the 2015 Nepal earthquake caused it to collapse and resulted in the demise of over 9,000 people. Its reconstruction started again in 2016 and was officially inaugurated as the new official Dharahara Tower of Nepal. Inside, it has a spiral staircase consisting of 213 steps and offers a panoramic view of Kathmandu on the 8th floor's circular balcony. The Kathmandu Valley has been established to be a treasure trove of ancient temples, palaces, and monuments. Outside the popular temples, the narrow lanes of the metropolis of Bhutan are great for a mini-adventure for beginner explorers, while the Krishna Mandir Temple emits such a spiritual ambiance that it's bound to attract even the most disinterested person passing by to stop. The old city of Patan is like a living museum of everything that makes Nepal special, filled with timeless pieces of wonder and splendor. In the municipality of Janakpur, there is also the ancient temple of Janaki Mandir Temple. Unlike many other more popular temples, Janaki Mandir Temple offers something unique as it is built in a Neo-Rajput style instead of the usual Nuari style. In fact, it stands out charmingly, as one would usually see such a temple in Western India instead of Nepal. Pokhara is another scenic town that attracts travelers with its natural beauty and many available outdoor adventures. There lies the second largest lake in Nepal, Pure Lake, which has a stunning view and lots of activities like water sports and paragliding for visitors to partake in. As the most popular and most visited lake, the north shore of the lake eventually developed into a lively tourist district named Bay Dam, more simply known as Lakeside, filled with hotels and restaurants catered toward the tourists. A unique and charming feature of the lake itself is that there is even a temple built right in the center of the body of water. This is Talbahari Temple, the most significant religious monument of Pokhara, dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. The city Pokhara is also a gateway to the Annapurna circuit and the Annapurna Base Camp trek for mountaineering fans. The Annapurna circuit is one of the most renowned trekking routes in the world, offering a thrilling adventure through some of the highest mountain passes, remote villages, and diverse landscapes of the Annapurna region. Trekking the circuit takes you through lush forests, terraced fields, and traditional Gurung and Thakhali villages, providing glimpses into the rich cultural heritage and natural beauty of rural Nepal. Highlights of the Annapurna circuit include crossing the Thorong La Pass, visiting the sacred temple of Muktinath, and soaking in the breathtaking views of the Annapurna and Dhalagiri mountain ranges. Now, traveling all the way to the north-central Nepal, Gosaikunda Lake is a sacred pilgrimage site and a splendid alpine wonderland located in the country's first ever national park, Langtang National Park. The park is part of the sacred Himalayan landscape, which is a large transboundary landscape in the eastern Himalayas, covered in forests and grassland, home to more than 80 mammals and more than 440 bird species. Located at an elevation of 4,380 meters, with a surface area of 138,000 square meters, the crystal-clear waters of the lake, nestled amid snow-capped peaks and verdant valleys, are no doubt a breathtaking sight for those who go out of their way to trek to it. Going back to Kathmandu, near the heart of the city lies Rani Pokhari, a historical, square-shaped man-made pond. It is known as a significant landmark of Nepal, as it was first built during the Malla dynasty, a historical dynasty of Nepal renowned for its own version of the Renaissance of the arts. Many of the other listed heritage buildings and religious worship sites were also built during this era. It was revolutionary during its time for being both an efficient and aesthetically pleasing man-made nature structure, with its source of water coming from an underground channel, as well as 7 wells built within the pond. Further in the rural areas, tucked away in western Nepal, is a hidden, pristine lake that entices those who seek solitude while basking in natural beauty. Rara Lake. Situated at an altitude of 2,990 meters, Rara is the largest lake in Nepal and a utopia for nature lovers and trekkers, especially birdwatchers. Trekking to Rara offers glimpses of Himalayan wildlife and breathtaking mountain scenery. These historic monuments and sacred sites are a testament to Nepal's cultural diversity, religious tolerance, and artistic ingenuity. They serve as living reminders of the country's ancient roots, spiritual heritage, and enduring legacy, attracting pilgrims, scholars, and travelers from around the world. Whether you are an adventure seeker, a nature enthusiast, or a cultural explorer, Nepal has something to offer for everyone. Now, if you've got any cool facts or stories about this country, please share them in the comments. I'd love to read them. And if you're wondering why Tanzania is home to the tallest peak in Africa, make sure to check out this video.